Welcome, everyone listening to the first episode of the Nearly Verified podcast. I'm here today with Quentin Allums. I have the pleasure of introducing someone that I personally looked up to for a while now. He is a creative storyteller, an entrepreneur, podcast host, TEDx speaker, esports enthusiast, and probably one of the most transparent and genuine people that I've followed on social media today. Quentin Allums, or just Q, has founded several companies, with Uran Misfit Ventures and the Strange on Purpose Studios being the most recent. Q has been creating content for years, building up his skills as a public speaker, community builder, leader, and now business owner. So Q, it is an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you today. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it, bro. Did you research?
I tried.
I like it.
I definitely tried.
Dig
cool.
it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Maybe we'll start off with, do you want to dive into who you are and what you do?
Yeah, dude, I feel like I don't even know how to answer that question these days. Like, I feel like I have so much going on. My name is Q. I don't even know how to answer it anymore, you know? Like, I'm on this, like, I'm on the brink of, like, this, I feel like this epiphany, you know? Like this, maybe it's an identity crisis. I don't know. I run a business and we tell stories. And I love esports, everything you just said. I think at the heart of it all, though, I think I'm just someone that's very curious, and I want to know how things work. I want to know how things tick, why people do the things that they do. And I think that's what drives me in all areas. But I do a lot of things.
A lot of things. That's awesome. And is there anything that you've been kind of heavily focused on recently, or that you've been wanting to do more of?
Yeah. I've been more focused on my writing, going back to like what made me tick as a kid. I was always writing stories, you know, as a musician, I was writing stories. I was a poet, you know, like always writing. So really diving back into that. I'm taking a writing course now. Not that I need it. I want something new, something different, different perspective on things. So writing, and then as always, esports. I'm obsessed, man. It's bad.
What games are you playing right now?
Oh, dude, I'm one of those dudes that only plays one. Like, I can only play competitive games. Like, that is it. Like, I love stories too, and I'll play through them. But right now, I'm obsessed with Valorant, and I don't touch anything else.
Oh, fair enough. Stick to what you know, or what you're enjoying at that point. Cool. So something that I wanted to talk about today was, I know you've done so many things and you're so multifaceted, but something that's pretty constant with Q and your content and your message is that patience is definitely a virtue. And it shows dating back to like your old YouTube videos. And I did some research. So February 14th, 2017, you posted a video called Delivering Results. So a little bit of a quote from you was, "I've been afraid at every single step of this journey. Getting clients, afraid. Reaching out, sending those emails, afraid. Setting up meetings, afraid. Every single next step, I've been afraid, but now it's time to deliver." So kind of what I got from that is that you need to trust in your abilities, trust in your track record, and keep moving forward through these moments of like fear and self-doubt. So now that you're some years into your career, what is your advice to young creators facing that fear, which inevitably might be stopping them from, you know, taking that first step?
Yeah. I feel like if you would ask me then, it'd be a lot different. Dude, I feel like I'm just changing so much. Honestly, now, if you ask me right now, which you are asking me right now, I'm sorry, I'm weird. I would say, like, if fear is really keeping you back, if it's really holding you back, then you probably shouldn't be doing the thing. And I think that's my honest opinion. Like, I think fear, like for me, like I couldn't not do it. Like bills were there, you know, I had to pay them. I had to step up. I had to do the thing. Otherwise I was going to die. Otherwise my dog wouldn't eat, you know, my cat wouldn't eat. So I had to step it up. So to ask yourself, is it actually fear that's holding you back, or is it something else, you know? And whatever it is, if it's fear of your parents' opinions, like talk to them. That's what I did. My mom didn't like that I was starting a business, and for good reason, because I wasn't very inexperienced at the time, you know, and I wasn't eating. So I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. I just need you to trust me. And she did, you know, so figure out what it actually is, get specific with that fear, and attack it. But if it genuinely is going to hold you back and you have to look for advice and all this stuff, I don't think that's going to be the thing that pushes you forward. It's got to come from within you. And for me, it was just, okay, I'm afraid, but I'd rather be miserable, like building something that I love versus miserable doing something that I hate. So that's where I was at. So I would just say, identify the fear, and it's probably not as scary as you think it is.
Yeah. Just kind of pick it apart and really see what it is that's holding you back. Because it's not always fear. There's usually some other cause that's lingering behind, but you kind of have to sit down and really dig into that.
Yeah. It's usually fixable too,
Yeah.
or manageable rather.
Manageable. So I think something else really that really gets young people down is when they face failure, they don't know how to accept it and how to overcome and how to, navigate those troubled waters. Especially right now with COVID, there's so many obstacles that people are having to go over, whether you're, trying to create, or you're trying to start a business, or you're trying to find a job, whatever it may be. And you made it very clear through your content that entrepreneurship is no cakewalk. It's not something that's easy to maneuver. And just going back into like your history of starting businesses and being an entrepreneur, when times got really difficult, what were some of your strategies on navigating those troubled waters?
Yeah. Things got bad, man. Like really bad. Thought about quitting a lot. Um, questioned whether I was supposed to be an entrepreneur many, many times. And I kept a journal. I kept a video journal. You can go and see those times. I don't know if I ever said on camera that I was questioning quitting, but I was, and I definitely did it privately. And for me, like I had my routines, things that got me out of my ruts. I would always like randomly, when it didn't matter if it was snowing, it didn't matter if it was raining, I would always go on a run. Always. Like if I was stuck, if I felt stuck, I still do that, like I have videos of me like doing boxing routines just so that I could work out that aggression, so that I could get clear. I picked up meditation, but I would say the biggest thing for me, and I pull this stuff out all the time, is like identifying what it was that I wanted, specific. Like I could go back, I could probably send it to you, like my journal. And I had, I made a list of like what my life was going to look like in 5 years. And on there's like this office space that I just went on Google. I was like, open office space, whatever, in Milwaukee. And I pulled this picture, and it was gorgeous, exposed brick, like dope place. And that was our first office. We didn't pay a cent for it. That was our first office. And then I wrote like, I want to be in a high rise, like overlooking the city, like drinking my coffee in the morning. And I'm not in the place that I wanted, but I'm in a place that's way better than what I wanted, and that it sounds weird, but like getting specific on what you want, like that's what motivated me, because I knew what I wanted, and I knew it was going to be much better than having my power turned off, eating spoiled food, or not eating at all. It was never going to get any worse than that. So getting specific on what I wanted, then of course having those things that would help me get out of those ruts, running, the boxing, the meditation, things like that. I just talked to one of my clients. He's like made millions on just like websites, like just crazy wonky but dope dude, and he was telling me, he's like, when I was young, I would always like ask these people like, how do you be successful? And I would look for like this tactic and just tell me how to do the thing and I'll do it. And he said all the time, every single person, it always came down to just work ethic and like mindset, and that's it. And it sounds so like hoorah, but like that's legit what it is. I had no idea what I was doing at all. I figured it out, but it was me constantly failing, constantly being okay with failing and moving on, analyzing the results just like an athlete would.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, it's really interesting to hear how you kind of work through those hardships, but you still stayed so consistent. Like you made that your goal, and you spoke it into existence almost, which is very powerful. I mean, like looking back at those videos from 2016, 17, 18, you're speaking what you want your career to look like, what you want your businesses to look like. And like being a young person watching your content, even that older stuff, it's super empowering. Like I feel like I can break through a wall, just I'm ready to take on the world. But no, seriously, it is super inspiring. And I'm sure lots of people have told you that you're an inspiration, but getting the chance to talk one-on-one with you, it's very cool to see how you've developed just over the like short time that I've been following on like on LinkedIn and on YouTube, but just to see the transformation of your businesses and your personal brand. Like you've spoken this all into existence. So I'll take a second just to congratulate you on how far you've come from those, 2016 YouTube videos that you're posting and getting 100 views now to getting millions. So congrats on that.
Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
No, of course. So maybe one of my questions, pivoting a little bit, when you are experiencing these hardships, as most entrepreneurs do, how did you find the, I guess, strength to stay consistent? Like what was your formula for consistency when things maybe weren't going your way?
Yeah. Again, man, I'm not going to give answers that I've changed a lot. I'm not going to give answers that people want to hear. Again, strength is never an issue for me. Rarely an issue for me, because if I want something, I want it. That's how I am. Like, I'm competitive. I'll run through a fucking wall, get the fuck out of my way. That's just how I am. Like, if you knock me down, cool. You'll probably knock me down, but I'll come back. Like, think about it. Like, what do you actually want? Not what do your parents tell you want? Not what do you think you want? Like, what do you want? I've been doing that a lot too, because it's changed. It's evolved. That's why I'm writing more. Like, if you actually want something, nothing's going to stop you. I think most people just don't know what they actually want. So strength, it's just there.
Yeah.
Because I want it enough.
I like that. So for someone who maybe doesn't know, they know they're passionate, they know that they want to create, they know that they have potential, but they're not sure exactly where to channel that. Any advice on maybe navigating those waters?
Yeah. I read a blog when I was 20 or 21, about a year before I started like my first business and really started digging into like my career. It said, if you don't know what your passion is, identify 3 to 5 things that you're really good at, or 3 to 5 things that you love. And don't worry about mastering those 3 to 5 things. You should master the intersection of those things. So for me, like, my intersection is like human behavior, and storytelling and strategy and entrepreneurship and possibly experiences in video games and things like that. That's my intersection. So how am I going to master that? I'm not going to be the best writer, but I can be the best at all of those things. And how do you find those things if you don't know? Like, that is the most exciting thing ever. Like, I love that period of my life because I got to dig into so many different things. I didn't like X, I didn't like Y, but Z was really, really cool, So just test, like, go travel, talk to people, try that thing, like copy people, whatever you need to do, but figure out what it is that gets you going and what it is that you'll run through a wall for. I was a musician for like 7 years, and people ask me all the time why I quit. And I didn't love it enough. I was not willing to sing when my voice was going out, like I was not willing to play guitar for 10 hours because I just did not love it enough. But this I do. So what are you willing to eat shit for? I think is a good saying. You just got to find it and explore.
Sounds like the words of Gary Vee almost.
Exactly. I think Mark Manson, shit sandwich or something like that. I think that's where I got it from.
So in terms of your music, what did you take from that experience of your life into your businesses and into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, that was the beginning. I still base a lot of my decisions based off of like what I learned as a musician. I think it's what fuels me. It's where a lot of my creativity comes from. Like, that's the first time I learned how to sell myself. I need to get a gig. First time I really started digging into like human behavior, and like, if I do this, this is going to happen. Or if I talk to this person this way, this is going to happen. It set me up for success, because being a musician is a lot like being an entrepreneur. You have to figure it out. It's all on you, from the writing to the performing to the back end stuff, like, it's just like being a business. It's just like being a personal brand, like, same thing. So I base a lot of my knowledge, a lot of my personal branding philosophy has come from my time as a musician.
That's awesome. Very cool. Something that you had mentioned, just still on the music topic for a sec, but I think it was on your LinkedIn Live that you had been a ghostwriter for about 2 years. And I know nothing about the music industry. So ghostwriting, all I associate that is Drake, because he has or has had ghostwriters. So I'm interested just what that means and what that looked like.
Yeah, so I did I didn't even count like my time as a musician. I did ghostwrite as a musician as well. Not for anyone famous or anything like that. I wasn't that good. But my time as a ghostwriter was really like as a professional. So pretending pretending, essentially just writing for people, like, hey, I need this blog, or I need this amount of blogs every single month. And you had to write in their voice, so you had to get to know them. And again, it was personal branding before I knew what personal branding was. And I saw all these people finding success with my words in a time when I didn't really think that I was anything, and I realized, wow, I have these skills. Let's do something with it. If I could do it for them, why can I not do it for myself?
Do you still pick up the guitar every now and then, or is it?
Yeah, I was playing before this, actually.
Oh no
Right
way.
before this. Yeah.
I listened to your Hosier, I think is how you say it. Your
How did you
cover.
even find that?
Man, it's all there. It's all on your YouTube channel. It was awesome
That's
though.
funny.
Like you've got a stellar voice. I was
Appreciate it.
surprised. I had no idea.
Appreciate it. That's funny.
Um,
I did not know that was on YouTube. I think I put it there to download or something.
It was awesome. I don't think your face is in it, but you're just strumming away.
Of course it's not. Sounds like me.
So you did talk a lot about, or you have talked a lot about your competitive spirit and your competitor down to your core, and that helps you kind of gain an edge in a lot of your entrepreneurship and your businesses. And you've also touched on your love for esports. So I'm just wondering kind of like how your competitive edge has come into your business. Did it start from gaming? Did it start from sports as a kid? Like where did that come from?
Yeah. I was a collegiate track athlete. In high school, like I was pretty good. I was second in the state for triple jump. But I never really had a love for it. I would say my competitive spirit really comes from like probably my childhood, always being second. Um, I was second oldest, middle child, always forgotten, never really had a voice. Um, Not until I discovered music, So I think it comes from a chip on my shoulder, whether that's healthy or not. I don't really care. I like to win. I do not like to lose. And then eventually it was kind of like a game, It's like pulling threads. There's this video game that I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but it's called Detroit Become Human.
Not.
So basically it's like robots fighting for their rights, which is dope to me. And I will be the first on the street, like marching for robots. But essentially in the game, like you make one decision that impacts the entire story. You make another decision, impacts the entire story. So there's all these different threads, you pull one, you get this outcome. That's always, probably since I was a kid, how I viewed life. It's this game. Put this input, get this output. And I like to know how things work. That's just, I don't know. I think it probably comes from my chip on my shoulder, not being anything growing up.
And I mean, that competitive spirit has led you to do so many cool things and be able to grow as an entrepreneur and just a young man. So I don't think it's a bad thing by any means from how you've explained it.
Yeah, I hope not. If it is, whatever. Because I like to win. It's bad, man. It's bad.
No, it's good.
Doesn't matter what it is. Like
just the littlest like lawn games. You get really competitive in lawn games.
Oh, yeah. So I try not to play unless I know the people will be okay with it because it's bad.
Do you think that there comes a time where that competition could become toxic? I guess like in a team environment, or do you always?
Yeah. Gaming in general is a very, very toxic, like just community. It's terrible for minorities. It's terrible for women. But in general, like you're seeing a lot of suicides in esports and gaming with these influencers because it's so toxic. So there's definitely a negative side to being competitive. Also me personally, like when I first started, I was a terrible, terrible leader. It's still something I'm really working on and trying to own because I was a tyrant, oftentimes I was right on things, not all the time, but sometimes I was right, but I was brutal about it. Like, no, it's gotta be this way because I'm competitive and we need to win. So there's definitely a negative side to it. And I know my leadership style is not for everybody. I've chilled out a lot. I'm way, way, way more hands off. I trust the people that I'm working with, which has been an interesting transformation, but there's definitely a negative side to it. And if I don't check myself often, I definitely lean into that negative side too. So it's there.
Yeah. So what does your leadership style evolved from, and like how, like what has impacted you in your career? Because I know you've got Izzy and Eric, like the co-founders,
Yeah.
with you, and just wondering like what the dynamic is within your team that way.
Yeah. It's different now. Like with COVID, like we've downsized a lot because of everything, and we're pivoting, and I'm excited about the pivot, but like the people we had before, like it was incredible. You know, like it was at the point where all I was doing was selling and focusing on the future of the company, which was what I wanted to be doing. I hated the work, you know, I didn't want to be in the company. Then this happened, and then we had to get back in it. Um, so before it was like our business coach worked with us a long time, worked with us so that my relationship with Izzy was on point to where I could focus on vision. Izzy could focus on running the business. And then he had Chandler underneath him, and Chandler really focused on the day-to-day, making sure that everything was where it's supposed to be, clients were happy, things like that. And then everyone reported to him, and he reported to Izzy. And then I was just came when I needed to, you know, like that was awesome. So I was very, very hands off. Izzy was pretty hands off as well. And now like it's really changed, and it's honestly just like for the most part just equal. Like we all have our roles, but I'm still pretty much focused on vision because that's where I'm best. Like that's what I'm good at. But in this stage of my career, I'm learning how to follow the people that I'm working with, but also follow like just people out in the world, because it's just foreign to me. It's not something that I'm used to. Like there's this black and brown leadership group that I was invited to, and I'm used to leading, man. I'm used to leading out of necessity, and for them, it's like, damn, I am not qualified to lead this at all. I should follow. I should step back. I should listen. I should learn. And it's taught me a lot about leadership. It's taught me a lot about myself. And it's just been nice, you know. And I think that in me is a sign that my leadership, I'm maturing. You know, it's not I have a mature skill set. I don't need to lead all the time. I only need to lead when I need to lead. So it's evolved, it's changing, but I would say it's very hands off. I love identifying talent. I love finding talented people and fostering that. Like the employees that we had to let go, like for the most part, all of them have jobs now and they're crushing it. And I talk to them all the time. Like I love that.
That's awesome. And I think you made some really great points regarding how, I guess, your perspective of leadership changes over time. After, you know, your company develops and you develop, you gain new skills, and you kind of have to navigate your business. It's so important, I guess, to understand that as a leader, you have to serve and you have to listen and you have to take the moments to understand where your team is coming from. And that's something I'm really interested in. Coming into my 4th year at university is different companies' definition of leadership and the difference between leadership and management. Because I think there's a vast difference, and though you need skills from both areas, the art, I guess you could call it, of leadership is something very interesting. And it seems like Uran Misfits does have, you know, a unique way of going about it with your structure and how you guys are paving a way. So that's super cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it just comes with time.
For sure.
Time and being willing to make mistakes, because initially it was fucking funny. Like me and Izzy would get in fights all the time, just yelling at each other in the office, and everybody's like, whoa, that's how we work, you know? Like it's definitely evolved.
Actually, I saw a cool quote the other day, and it was, embarrassment is the cost of entry. So if you aren't willing to look foolish as a beginner, then you'll never be able to be a master gracefully, or something like that. And that has just like stayed with me, because you are the first person on my podcast, and I'm willing to look foolish in order to get this going. And B, it's, if you're not willing to, you know, take on more responsibility and take on roles that might be out of your realm, at least like in your head, then you're not gonna be able to succeed. You're not gonna be able to get to the next level. So not that like you being a leader is an embarrassment at all. I'm just like,
I embarrassed myself many times, man. Probably still do, and it's okay. But seriously, like think about where it could be, you know, like again, you have to love it enough. Like I taught myself how to code. I taught myself how to 3D model back in the day, and it was like, shit, like this fucking sucks. I never want to do this again, you know? And I stopped. But if I would have kept on it, like I'd be freaking amazing. again, you have to love it. But this podcast, for example, one, you're not embarrassing yourself, but two, like it can grow so fast. The best thing I did for myself when I was 22 was create. I didn't know what it was going to be at all. Like I had ideas, but I didn't know at all. And again, my life has been impacted in every single area because I decided to pick up a camera and talk to it and write random stuff. And for whatever reason, people watched and people listened eventually, you know, like only takes one moment, one person.
It's true. And I think that's something that really entices me to be a fan of you. It's that it all started with, you know, one quick video, with one thought, with one idea, and it snowballs, and you create and you get better and you write more. And I'm in a very similar position. I have so much more free time. Good. Because I was originally like throughout university and high school, was very involved in extracurriculars, and that took up all of my free time. That was kind of where I put all of my energy. A lot of programs that the university provides, like sales association. I was part of that for all 3 years of university. Now I'm coming into my 4th year with no strings attached. And this is the first time in my life that I get to dive into what I want to create just for me. And it may seem selfish, but it's what I want to do. And just seeing someone like you, that like you're in the position you are now, an entrepreneur, and you know, started all these businesses and you create this content, and it all started with posting some videos. And that is the coolest thing to me, man. It gets me excited because I'm sitting here and this is episode 1. I'm not sure where it's going to get to, not sure who else is going to come on here, but I'm feeling good about it. And I'm feeling like I'm in the right place at the right time, watching your LinkedIn live video, shooting my shot, asking if you'll come on my show. And now you're here today. So
keep doing it, man. Don't wait for it to be huge before you start reaching out to big people. Don't wait at all. You're fine, man. Like keep taking action. I'm excited to watch the growth. I love this stuff.
I appreciate that. And I think it's funny. I was listening to one of your podcast episodes with Sam Lister, who's also killing it on LinkedIn. He's, you know, he has his own agency and Blank Slate, and he's doing really cool things. And I think he's younger than me, or he's my age. I'm 21.
He's either 20 or 21.
Yeah, which is super cool. But you guys were talking about LinkedIn and about how building a community is so important, and the ability to create or build a community on LinkedIn. And you guys were talking also about some of the new features coming to the platform. And at the time,
when was this? Was this him on mine, or was I on his?
This was on yours, and this was April 15th.
Okay.
And yeah, you guys were talking about the new features coming to LinkedIn, one of them being LinkedIn Live, which I just kind of like laughed out loud about. I'm like, oh my goodness, what a full circle moment. Here we are. But it just got me thinking about community. And I know you've mentioned in the past that it's so important to be a part of and build, you know, genuine communities rather than a following. And due to the fact that communities are reciprocal and, you know, there's value both ways. But I just wanted to know what your definition or the difference between a community and a following is to you.
Yeah. I think people always say like, hey, like, thank you for being a part of my community. Got 1 million followers. I've got a big community. And again, going back to my time as a musician, you know, people that follow you, even people that purchase your mixtape, you know, your CD, like they're not in your community. There's a big difference. Like a community is a place where people can gather, whether that is them reading your blog and commenting on it, there's space where they can talk, or a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group or a newsletter, you know, that people read and they talk about it, whatever it is, like, or a physical group where they meet. Like it's a place where people can gather around something that they have in common. Typically that's not, oh, wow, I love Q. We're all here. We're going to talk about Q. It's not, it's got to be more than that, you know, like it's got to be so much more than that. And I think Gary Vee is one of the best examples for that. I met him on, I don't know, sometime this year or last year. I can't even tell anymore. It's just all blurring together. But I met him and I shook his hand like in the lobby area of this hotel for this event thing. And then again, like in Q&A, and I was walking up to the mic and my legs were shaking. And I was like, why the fuck are my legs shaking? Like that just doesn't happen. Like not for anyone. And like, I thought about it after like talking to him, and I ended up giving him a hug, but I thought about it and I commented on his video, and I was like, my legs were shaking because of this data point. And this is just this is how I think. I don't think anyone else uses this terminology, but data point. And what I mean by like that is this point in time where his story and my story interconnected. Like they connected, they crossed paths. And I remember the exact moment where I heard of him, and that moment impacted my life. Like, I was in a maroon chair, I'm pretty sure, like Cardinal Stritch University. My coach walked up the spiral stairs and looked back down, and he's like, yo, you should check out this guy named Gary Vee. And I'm like, how the fuck do you spell that? You know, and it's like, whatever. But I went down the rabbit hole, and then I started my first business a couple months later, you know, and I started reading his books, and I started creating content. If I didn't create content, I wouldn't be where I am. So I owe a lot of that success to Gary. And if you think back to community and those data points, Gary Vee is creating that at scale with people like me. So it's not, oh my God, I love Gary Vee. It's, oh my God, I owe Gary Vee because he gave me this. So what are you giving people? And that to me is the difference. Are you creating those data points at scale? Not even at scale. Are you creating those data points? But what are you actually giving people? What are they taking away? How are they getting plugged in? Because it's got to be about them, not about you. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. Thank you so much for following me. Oh my God, thank you. I've got 1,000 subscribers on this podcast, or 1 million fucking followers. Who fucking cares? Like, what are you giving to people? Like, even this, like, hop on freaking podcasts with people that support you. Like, I don't get it. Like, again, I was a musician, so like, we'd do whatever because we were always broke. But like, show up. Like, Taylor Swift is another example. Like, 18-hour autograph signings, like scaled on scalable, create those data points because they mean a lot to people, and they should mean a lot to you.
Means the world. It means the world that, you know, people tapped into your community have, you know, similar values and similar ideas of where we want to go. And I guess my next question would be, what does it mean to be a part of your community?
Yeah, that's evolved a lot too. When I first started, it was just people that were going to start because I was like, shit, no one helped me. I'm going to help other people. I don't know what I can bring of value, but I called it House of Starters. Like, that was my Facebook group name at the time. And then I started like building this misfit story arc, you know, like I was a misfit on LinkedIn. I was posting videos and no one liked videos. You know, I had this big black hat. So I was like, I'm going to lead into this, you know, started thinking like a musician again. And then I called it House of Misfits. And like, that was a focus. It was just people that didn't have support, people that needed that support, people that were doing something differently. And this is a place where we can just support one another. And now the focus is really like anyone that's trying to master their craft. So whether that is, I want to be the best gamer, or I want to be the best gamer that I can be, or I want to be a great podcaster or writer, whatever your craft is, it's a place where those people that are serious about it can gather, talk, and support one another. And that's really the focus now, because that's what we're all doing in our company. And I'm competitive as fuck, so I want to be the best. And I want to be surrounded by the best too. So it's really people that are focused on mastering their craft and getting those resources that can help them do that.
And that in itself is super inspiring, and it allows young people to, you know, buy in and really try and better themselves, which at the end of the day is a two-way street. It helps you and your brand, and it helps the people that are enticed. So yeah. It's being a part of that community myself. It's been awesome to interact with people like-minded and just wanting to be the best. I love that. It's the competitive spirit drives so much, but it's fun, you know, like you want to get better and you want to develop, and being surrounded by people, whether it's online or in an actual room, that have the same thoughts and beliefs, it's empowering for sure.
Appreciate you.
Oh, of course. So I guess I know you get a million questions like this, but when it comes to LinkedIn, what was the role of LinkedIn in the success of your business and your brand and just Q in general?
Yeah. Pre-LinkedIn, right before I jumped on LinkedIn, I was making nothing. I was renting out I had a client for $500, which is nothing. I was renting out I had a 3-bedroom. I don't know how I managed that, but it was a 3-bedroom for $850. I was renting out 2 bedrooms for $500. So I was living there for free. that's how I sustained. I was also flipping like random stuff. I ended up selling my guitar though, ended up selling all of my gaming systems, so that I could survive and make money and eat. So nothing, I was nothing. I was recording YouTube videos and Instagram stuff. And I found some success on a platform called Ask Whale. I met some really big people. It was founded by the guy that founded Twitch, or co-founded Twitch, Justin TV. I forget his last name. But my life was crap, man. And then had a few posts that went viral on LinkedIn, written post. Then they released video. I saw these people creating videos and I thought I could do this better because I've been doing it. And then I started creating, and I'd love to say that things turned around really quickly, but they didn't. But eventually, you know, like I was helping I grabbed a bunch of creators and I'm like, okay, we can grow faster together. We just became friends. We would talk about things. All of their posts did significantly better than mine for a long time. And then eventually I popped, and I started moving, you know, 100K, 500K, a million, 2 million. But financially, I would still say like financially, it's not equivalent to brand in money. Like I'm fine, but I really didn't start seeing that financial success consistently until 2018. Even in 2018, like I took a big risk because I was making a decent amount of money on LinkedIn, just doing like LinkedIn consulting, personal branding consulting. I took a big risk starting Uran Misfit Ventures because we absorbed my entire client base. And then all of a sudden I didn't have one person, I had four, you know, and I wasn't making that much, you know? So then eventually, like I was sleeping on my office floor because I had moved out of my apartment because I didn't want to live in that shithole anymore. But like my credit was bad because of my first two businesses, you know? So I was bouncing around, sleeping on office floors, Airbnbs, hotels, all these different places. But for whatever reason, I had faith and things did start moving, you know, and we thought we were going to close one deal, and then we had like office space that we were paying for and employees that we were hiring. And it felt like overnight, but that was 3 years of work, you know, not saying I didn't have success before because I had a little bit, but consistent, like being comfortable, it wasn't really until 2018.
And would you say LinkedIn was one of the largest tools that allowed you to get to that space?
Yeah, single-handedly. I had, I think like maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram, like nothing over like 10K on any other platform, you know, nothing was really generating any leads consistently. I had to go and cold email, cold call, show up at places, like do a lot of research, which is fine, you know, but there was no real system. And I would say the reason why I was able to get to where I am is because I was one of the few that actually had a decent, not even the best, but a decent system on LinkedIn. I wasn't just like, hey, like I'm trying to grow followers, but I have nothing to sell, you know? But I went from making nothing to Uran Misfit Ventures was like, I mean, before COVID, like like it's so sad to think about it. Before COVID, like we were rolling, you know, like rolling. It changed everything. I went from nothing to traveling the world, speaking, doing a TEDx, speaking at Inbound, speaking at VidCon, like these places that I had dreamed about talking, you know, meeting people that legit, like I was reading about books the year before. So it completely changed my life. If you look at TikTok, Instagram, any other platform, like the net worth is a lot higher on LinkedIn. So definitely single-handedly was the main revenue generator for me at the time. And still is now, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's growing so rapidly. It might be weird. Like as a 21-year-old, at least recently, I've been spending most of my time on social media on LinkedIn, putting the most energy into creating for LinkedIn as well as just consuming on LinkedIn. Cause I think there's so much, though it can get dry and pretty corporate, there's also so much content that's interesting to me, and there's articles and there's, you know, swipe PDF graphics and all these cool things that are now being implemented that create a better user experience. And I get heats for it sometimes, I will not lie. Like I've got friends that are like, oh, LinkedIn guy is coming in hot, and all I have to say is like, you are one of those people that I look to on the platform because A, I think you're super cool, that's a big one, and two, the success and the result, like going back to that 2017 video, delivering results. You're afraid, but you're putting in the work and you're seeing the results. So I think that there's, like, I couldn't agree more with you on, the net worth is so important on LinkedIn. And I guess for a young person in their 20s, as you are, but coming into their 20s, what would be a piece of advice for someone who may be iffy on LinkedIn, like getting
Yeah.
into it?
I would say, what else are you doing? Like I would mention Mark Metry, who, when I met him, like, was just getting started on LinkedIn. He had me on his podcast. His podcast was maybe getting 112 listens per episode. Now he's top 100. Now he gets probably over, I don't even know, like millions per freaking episode, 100K, 200K, I don't know, 500K, depending on who it is. Like, his life has changed. He's speaking. He's got like 70K followers on LinkedIn. He's like one of my good friends, and he's younger than me. He's like 23 or 24 or something. I'm 26. Like, it's wild. I would mention Shay Robotham, who, when I met her, like, had her company. She was a CEO of her company, but she was miserable. She wasn't happy at all. And then I would work with her for a little bit. She became one of the biggest, like, the biggest micro influencer on LinkedIn. Probably, like, you can't go anywhere without knowing who Shay Robotham is. And now it's making more than she was as that CEO. She got bought out. In Miami now, just bought a house, dope ass house, like, living the dream because of LinkedIn, not anything else, because of LinkedIn. She's talented, but because of LinkedIn. I would mention Jackie Hermes, who, her business was doing fine, but freaking crushed it because of LinkedIn. And now all these people know who she is. And we work with her too, like, I can list off a bunch of people that we worked with, but there's all these names. Like, Sam Lister is another one, like, I think it was 18. He messaged me right away. Like, he's like, yo, like, I heard about you. I'd love to hear advice you have to start creating on LinkedIn. Dude was like, his company at the time was like MKE Vlogs or something like that. He was just similar to me, like, just making videos. And now he's got this agency and he's freaking crushing it. He's like, not even 21, like, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, and then there was me, power off, like, spoiled food, drinking coffee because I had nothing else, renting out my rooms. Like, there's nothing special about me. I'm quirky. I'm weird. I know I understand people on a level that a lot of people don't, but there's nothing special about me. I just want it. And LinkedIn 1000% is a great spot to get whatever you're looking for, whether that's a job or clients or knowledge, whatever it is. Like, it's all there. And there's not a lot of young people crushing it. So it's a perfect opportunity to stand out. And even before I was doing all this, like, that's where I got all of my internships. And I had some pretty cool internships before all this. So use it.
Use it.
Use it.
I like that. I like that a lot. What do you think is next for the platform and for your use of the platform?
Yeah, I know they're coming out with stories. There's some other things. I'm not really in tune with it these days as much as I used to be. I'm planning on changing that. But for me, like, I'm really just enjoying writing in my newsletter and my company newsletter. And I really want to focus on that, mostly because I saw, I was reading, my buddy sent me, actually my business partner sent me a tweet. This guy's like, if you want to, he said, think about anything that you spend a lot of money on or something like that, or a lot of time or something like that, and then write a newsletter. And then he said, like, his newsletter has 5,000 subscribers and it's 2 million a year with two people, 2 million a year, 5,000 subscribers. My newsletter has 20,000 subscribers and I haven't made a cent on it. So I thought about it and I was like, damn, that's insane. Then again, like, it was a Ferrari newsletter, so it makes sense. But I'm enjoying, like, just writing. You look at old blogs back in the day, like, because that's how people consumed information. People wrote because they wanted to make the world better. Or they liked what they were writing. They had something to say, no filter. Like, I'm thinking about that, like, just writing and creating because I want to, on all levels, on every platform. I'm sick of feeding into the algorithm. I'm sick of doing things just for the sake of doing them. So really leaning into my newsletter and creating what I want, when I want, how I want. It's been great.
I feel like there's something liberating about writing even just your thoughts. You can say it and you can record yourself saying it and you can do all these other things creatively, but writing is something that's very expressive.
Agreed.
Though it may not seem it, but the
it
words
is.
you're writing. Yeah.
It is. I talk about content, not having any content. I pull from my journals so much. And people are like, oh my God, that's great. I'm feeling that. And all I did was copy and paste something I said like 5 years ago, like content, document. And it is liberating, and you figure things out too when you're talking or writing, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have kind of an off-topic question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make the podcast about young people, and I want young people to come to the podcast and learn more about entrepreneurship and learn more about different fields and just kind of be like a knowledge base, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I know you explained why LinkedIn for young people and why it's like such an impactful platform, but I'm just wondering if you have advice for a young entrepreneur that's looking to create content in general, maybe not necessarily for LinkedIn, just for their small business or for their personal brand. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah. I feel like if you would have asked me like a year ago, I'd have a better answer. I'm just so tainted these days. You said advice for a young person that's wanting to create content on any platform?
For their personal brand or for their business that they're trying to start up.
Maybe a couple things. First one I would say is, especially if you're young, like it's got to start with you. I hate how much pressure we put on, like, hey, build your personal brand. I think it's terrible. I think it hurts a lot of people. And again, like, how can you build a brand when you don't know who you are? Because a personal brand, in my opinion, social media, whatever, like it's an extension of who we are. So you got to understand who you are, at least on a basic level. Where are you going? No one's going to follow you if they don't know who you are, if they don't know where you're going. And I think that was outlined in this podcast episode, like it starts there. Second, when you understand all that, I would say that's when you really start to think, when you should think about the story, because that story is going to be a big part of why people come back. You look at TikTok, for example. Like my girlfriend posted a video that went like semi-viral. Like I'm mad because I edited it and nothing on my account goes viral. I think I've had like one viral video, but she posted something and there's a story, right? You look at her profile, it's all about golf because she's an amazing golfer. I'm trash, but she's an amazing golfer. And she posted something. And it was like, and I edited it, but I got my first hole in one, but it was a story of her dad and how her dad is the reason why she started golfing. And she started golfing, spent all this time with her dad in golf, but now he can't golf anymore because of his leg. And hey, this one's for you, Dad, right? There's that story there. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like blah, blah, blah. Congrats on the hole in one. My dad too, blah, blah, blah. Like all this, that story, like that's the reason why people are going to watch it. That's the reason why people are going to come back. So for your personal brand, start to think about that story. You don't have to have it dialed in. For me, like it started off as like, yo, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just this misfit on LinkedIn, trying to build a company. Here I am. Like, you want to, like, let's do this together, And that's all it was. But think about that story. Like, where are you going? Because that's the narrative that is going to get people to come back. You could have a million viral videos, but if you don't have that story, it's not going to matter. You've got to have that reason why they come back. You've got to retain those followers. You've got to retain those people that are just viewing your content. A good thing to look into if you're struggling with that story is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and just look at all of the different movies they have, and one movie has this characters, like Captain Marvel has her characters, Spider-Man has his stories, his movies, like, and his characters, and then they connect under this overarching Avengers storyline. Like, think of it like that. Or like a musician, you have album one. All the songs tell a story, but the album also tells a story. Then you have album two. All the songs tell a story, but so does the whole album. Then you have album five, and same thing. And collectively, they tell a story. So I would start thinking about that. Like, what's this chapter that I'm in? How can I tell this narrative? And then how can I communicate that? And again, going back to the Gary Vee and the data points, like, how am I helping other people? How am I creating those data points? And maybe on a more tactical level, I would say, do what you're good at. On LinkedIn, I stood out because of my writing, even though people were watching my videos. Like, they're like, oh, wow, like, that's a video, that's very cool. But they were reading the copy that I was writing, because that's what I'm good at. I was good on camera too, at least decent at the time. But focus on what you're good at, and find the gap, what people aren't doing. But if everybody's doing video and you're a writer, like, don't feel pressured to do video. Like, you can try it out, but write. Fuck the algorithm, it's there to work for you. I don't know. Creating content. Put your ear to the ground, consume. I think that's something that a lot of people skip over. They just start creating. They don't consume enough. And I think every genius consumes just as much as they create. There's different stages, depending on where you're at in your career. Initially, I consumed a lot, but then I didn't consume at all, and I just created. And now I'm consuming significantly more again, creating, and eventually it'll probably level out. So put your ear to the ground, consume, see what people are doing, learn, test things out. I know those are all like super general things. If you ask like a specific question, I can answer, but I would say those are important when it comes to creating content. At first, I just talk for so long. Goddamn.
No, man, it's
Coffee,
good.
bro.
It's good. It's good. I think like a key takeaway is that when you're creating a brand and you're creating that story, whatever story you may be wanting to put together, that brings people in, that entices people, and they want to learn more. They want to know more about you and what that story, like how that story ends or where you're at in that story. And then at the end of the day, you could create this story, but if you don't have a community to retain those people and to keep those people interested and to provide value both ways, then I think that's where a lot of people may be missing the gap, because there are a lot of people on social media in general that have a great story and it's the success story. It's very exciting, adventurous, but they're just an icon at that point. If there's no way that I can ever interact with them or the people around them, then I don't feel involved. And that's just something very interesting that I've been starting to learn or think more about. The more that I am on social media and the more that I'm on LinkedIn is, what is my story? I have no idea. I'm not going to fake it and tell you that I do. I'm a young guy trying to navigate that and trying to figure out what creating means for me and what I'm good at.
That's a story.
It's a story.
That's Finn's story. Again, another success story. He was 20 or 19 or something when he reached out from Germany. The first message he sent me was like, yo, I'm just a freaking college dropout idiot that doesn't know what he's doing, but I like your stuff. Like, that was the first thing he said to me. And he's so like, I was like, no, bro, no, you're not. But then I met him in New York. He just randomly flew to New York, and then he created this agency, and then he freaking crushed it on Instagram, and he's working with people like Lewis Howes. Like, but that was his story. I'm just this kid that dropped out. Now I'm going to go figure it out. Like, that was the start of it, at least, like, this is the start of yours, or a start of yours.
This is definitely the start for me. I've been posting a few videos on LinkedIn. I've been trying to write more and just trying to figure out what that means for me. And as soon as I was sitting in your LinkedIn Live and I decided to shoot my shot, that's when it kind of all came together, because I'm thinking to myself, I've been wanting to have these conversations. I feel like I can learn so much, and I feel like I can bring so much knowledge to young people, because there's a lot of people at my school that would love to hear from you and love to hear from other entrepreneurs and other people that are doing very cool things. And I thought this is a way to A, build my community, and B, start my story, start writing it. The chapter starts now, and I cannot tell you how nervous I was before hopping on this call with you, because I feel like I may have already said it, but I pictured this happening maybe 2 to 3 years into the podcast. We're well experienced, we know what we're doing, but I have no idea what I'm doing, and here we are. So it has been a ride, and I'm super excited to see where it goes, but I can't say how grateful I am for you to have come on here in the first place. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Don't stop, man. Otherwise I'll call you out. Don't stop. Don't wait to reach out to big people. Please don't wait.
No, I didn't wait this time. I just decided to do it, and it ended up working out in the end. So if it does go to show that if anyone, like, if I can do it, literally anyone can do it, because I'm just
That's how I feel here. Too, man. It's exactly how I feel.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just said epic.
It is. This feels like the most epic thing I've done in a very long time. Like, I'm so excited and so happy to be doing this and to have you on. And it's been a great conversation. But I guess just kind of coming to a close here, what is next for Q? Like, what have you got going on? What's in the works, and what are you excited about?
Yeah, I'm excited about everything. I was sitting in bed the other day eating ice cream. I'll tie it back together, I promise. Eating ice cream, and I was like, this tastes so good. I was like, my entire no idea what just happened.
It's all good, man.
I'm so sorry because I hate editing in the middle. I hate when things don't go all the way through. All I was gonna say though is that I had ice cream and I felt like I was tasting it for the first time. And I feel like I'm just excited about just life in general, and I feel like I'm experiencing a lot of things for the first time, even though I'm not. So what's next is we're working on a few mini-series, women in sneakers, women in esports. We're doing one on Black entrepreneurs. I'm doing a brief film and a couple other mini documentary style things, but I'm excited about life, and it feels nice.
Yeah. Do you feel like amongst all of this craziness happening in the world, you're trying to find, the positives and trying to make the most of your time at home? Like what's that been like for you?
Yeah. We've definitely lost a lot of money and that sucks, but I also feel like it is positive, because I realized that I wasn't doing exactly what I thought I wanted to. I also realized that I was burnt out and I needed some time off. But working from home has been fine, I'm not really an introvert. I do consider myself an extrovert, but I'm probably somewhere in between, and I've been fine. I miss people, but not really. I've been so productive, it's nice, but I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of when, we have no idea when things will start opening up, but I guess that's kind of the timeline for people to start planning ahead and figuring out what's next, because I saw on, I think, your Twitter that you were supposed to be doing an international keynote, and that's
Austria.
Damn, that would have been incredible. But those things, sorry, not to just completely stomp on
that really sucks. It's 2021 now, so it'll be all right.
Yeah, it's happening. It will happen. But yeah, it's a weird time, man. There's just so many question marks for business, for personal life, for just the world, I
think long term it'll be good, man. It's setting us up for long term, hopefully, growth in all areas. People are asking questions that they never asked. People are looking at creating the future now, and we're ready for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Q, I do not want to take any more of your time up, man. This has been an unreal conversation. So thank you so much for hopping on. Where can people find you? Where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, I am at TagJustQ on any social media platform. Otherwise, my website is quentinallums.com. Find me wherever is convenient for you. If you want to join our group, it's Strange on Purpose on Facebook. But I appreciate you having me, dude. This is cool. Didn't feel like your first podcast. So keep it up.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Very cool. Well, thanks so much, Quinn.
Yeah, it's legit, man.